Welcome to Well Rounded Momma's YouTube channel. If you're joining us, then you've been hopefully following us. We've been making videos this month of why we got into this work, a little bit about us, why we love what we do, the funniest things that we've seen. My name's Sherry. I'm joined with Sarah, Cora, Tori, Tiffanie, and we are all midwives here in the Las Vegas area. We are also all co-owners of Well Rounded Momma. Oh, if you like this video,
ring the bell.
Like, Tiffanie really wants you to ring
the bell.
Ring it.
Ring the damn
Where's
bell.
the bell? Where did we put the bell? We do have a bell. I bought a bell for that purpose.
That's true. I want a gong.
A gong like ding.
That's what
I want a cowbell, like a legit cowbell, so I can be like, more
cowbell.
cowbell.
So like if you haven't seen our other videos, and you can catch up with everybody else. But today, I thought I would ask the ladies if there was one thing that they could change about birth work. What would the one thing be that you would change? I think one of the toughest things is going through some of the hardest moments with human beings. But I truly think some of the hardest things is when individuals don't actually empower themselves by owning their choices. And that I think has been one of the hardest things, because we see individuals presented with tough choices, tough decisions. Sometimes we see them then blame circumstance or blame instead of working through what just happened. And so we see that in what we would term like an unexpected outcome. Because unexpected outcomes happen at birth. And it's interesting in home birth, there's so little leeway from individuals in experiencing unexpected outcome. Like 98% of the time someone has a hospital birth, and then if it didn't go the way they want, they just chalk it up to, well, that's the way birth is, and then they leave. And they're probably traumatized and they don't even know it, right?
Right.
But at home, when things don't go the way that individuals want, I feel like there's a lot of like a lack of owning those choices and those decisions. And I do wish that would change. Not for my own self and because I have pretty thick skin, but for them, because I see that it hinders individuals from growing and learning from their experiences and being able to work through that. Because I think, what I think birth is, let's backpedal a little bit. What I think birth is birth is a moment to create and grow a parent. Whether you are already a parent or not, you are given an experience that help you be the best parent you can be to that child. And so sometimes that unexpected outcome happened because that was the hardest thing that you went through. I always tell people having a home birth isn't the hardest choice. It's doing something you didn't want to do. That's transporting to a hospital. That's having a cesarean. That's giving up something that you thought that you wanted for the well-being of your baby, which always kills me because physicians think that people choose home births being in an irresponsible way, when the truth is home birth clients want the best for their babies in every way. And that's not saying hospital birthers don't want that, but there's not a difference between the two. Yes. But I do see sometimes when they didn't get things that to be their way, they give it up and then they just kind of hang on to this thing that becomes really hard. The reason I bring this up is I remember we had a client several years ago and she only got to 2 centimeters at home and she was so uncomfortable and she was really struggling and she was just really having a hard time, and she ended up going to the hospital. She had a good experience at the hospital, but she was so mad and angry, and her husband came back to see me postpartum throughout their entire postpartum, but he came in and yelled at me and said that he thinks I should have done this or that or this or that, and I said, well, she was 2 centimeters, like I can't fix that, I can't do that for you. And he said she won't stop crying because she didn't get the birth she wanted, she's super depressed. And I said, look, you don't have to talk to me, but you should talk to somebody. Like, you have an opportunity to work through some really hard things that you've been asked to do or your partner's been asked to do. And he immediately got defensive and was like, no, we didn't do anything. We don't have anything to work through. This is all you or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, what hurt me the most about that in that particular moment was you generally can't do things for other people. Like when you're watching people have contractions, you can't do those contractions. You can't make those decisions. I think that's the hardest thing about our work.
Yeah. You can't change
Well, and I
it.
think that's part of like the home birth too, like the home birth model of care, is that we don't make those choices for you. You make those choices. We give you information, you make a choice, and then I do think it's hard for people to accept if they've made a choice too, that if it doesn't work out the way they want it to, that somehow falls on them a little bit because they made a choice. But
I wish that individuals would kind of own their successes as much as their failures, because that always drives me crazy too when someone's like, I couldn't have done this without you. I'm like,
you did it without me.
You did it without me.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so I think that level of empowerment, I think you get into this job to help empower other individuals. And so I think when you see people kind of walk away from that ability to feel empowered, I think that's disappointing. So if I'm going to change, I guess, one thing in the birth world, it were how could I better facilitate that empowerment I'm trying to accomplish, and how can I better facilitate a space for individuals to process and work through that postpartumly?
Yeah. I think if I could change anything, it would be if people can understand that we're human beings too, and that we have families and lives and emotions and needs, and we carry so much around with us that a lot of people don't see. And if you don't respond right away, or if you don't, what if you're having a bad day? What if something bad just happened to you and you have to go in and give everything to somebody else? It's hard. And I don't know that you could really change all of that. And maybe if people watch these videos, they'll kind of get a little glimpse of what our lives are like. And not that we're complaining or we don't love it, because we do, but it is hard sometimes that you want people to be understanding of your life. You're giving 110% to every single family that you serve. Sometimes you have to fill your own cup so that you can give to others.
I know they spent a lot of time kind of developing some programs that talked a little bit about midwife burnouts and what that looked like. But I don't think they found successful, because the sustainability of midwifery, I think, it's a difficult thing. I remember, I don't know, it had been a long week and I came to work, and honestly, I should have probably called in sick, but I hate rescheduling prenatal days. It's so awful to do. I was so tired. I was so burnt out. I was starting to have some health issues, and I came and I had an initial. So that's the first time you meet with someone. And so in the consultation, I hit it off really well with this couple. I really loved them, and then they came in for their initial, and I up front with them, I said, look, I'm really feeling quite bad today, so I'm feeling a little off. I have a student here today. She's going to help. I'm going to hang out, but I'm going to let her do everything because I'm feeling really bad. And the client called me after to tell me how disappointed she was in her appointment, that they had interviewed all these midwives. They felt like they really hit it off with me. They understood that I didn't feel well and that I was under the weather and I had lost a lot of sleep, but they had everything riding. And we're so excited for this. And I don't think we ever recovered. I think I should have probably at that moment just let them go. I think it was hard and it was disappointing, because I feel like it is both those things. It is an individual's baby. It is a huge point of their time. They deserve to have somebody there in the full capacity and in 100% and on all the time. But as midwives who take primary clients that they're doing all the things for, we can't be on all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when burnout happens, and why I think in our profession they haven't found, besides sharing call, which we haven't been willing to concede on yet.
Part of it too is physicians, they get to work their 12-hour shift and then they're off. That's just not how it is with us.
Well, and I like seeing the big picture. I like the continuity of care. I like being their contact, so that I feel like if I'm not, and I sound like a micromanager, right? But if I'm not kind of overseeing that big picture, then I'm no different than what they're getting outside of midwifery care. And that is that the ball could be dropped on something, because I'm not seeing all the moving parts. And I think our clients deserve us to see all those moving parts. We leave our junk at the door and we go in and we serve that client. And there have definitely been times we've gone and done it after a fight with a husband or a loss. My son got married, and as soon as he was married and we did a quick little dinner thing, I ran to a birth. It just, you always, I remember you had a client calling you in labor at one of your daughter's births, and I was kind of trying to manage this phone, and they kept being like, but we want to talk to Tiffanie. And I'm like, well, her daughter's getting married right now. And they're like, but we want Tiffanie. And I'm like, oh, you're going to have to take me for just a couple hours, okay?
This is as good as it gets right now.
Right now, sorry. For other things that we would change with birth work, that's probably it. And we would want that because we like serving the families we serve and we want a sustainable profession. And so how do we create that? And I think that there are individuals who are working on that. We're just not those individuals. We're waiting for someone else to come up with our
game plan.
With our
Tell us
game
what
plan.
to do.
Thanks for joining. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Tiffanie really wants you to ring that bell.
Ring, 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 ring.
And so we will see you next week.
It's like a worldwide thing or
Can be
like
whatever.
a Nevada thing.
Tori, you can.
Anything.
I need more information.
Oh.
We got to see your beautiful face.
We can't.
Make that sound again.
It's like a pretty like.
Well, I thought I was a singer.
You are. You sound like, what's her face on
Sound of Music.
Cinderella?
Oh, Snow White.
Snow
She's
White.
the worst. Right? I would have Snow White.
Snow White. Yeah,
I
Snow
know.
White. Yeah.
I can't even think of a Snow White song to duplicate. I was gonna do that for you. She does. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Yep.
What is it though? I'm something
Waiting. I'm wishing.
for the one I
I'm
love
hoping.
to
Yeah, it's
find
wishing.
me today.
Yeah.
And then he
Isn't
comes
that
and goes
creepy?
today.